Hey everybody, welcome back. This is DS Yvonne at reprogrammingmind.com, and today we get to hear from an interview between myself and Lisa Jimenez, who is an author of multiple books, including Conquer Fear, along with Slay the Dragon. And she's a very successful entrepreneur and businesswoman, and she also coaches people that are looking to be removing subconscious programs that are preventing them from being able to create that financial success in their life. So, with all that said, I'll let you enjoy this interview. Now, one other last thing is that the audio quality of this is not the best. I've done my best to clean it up, but it's still not super fantastic. So, I'm just going to apologize in advance for that. All right, but in the meantime, enjoy the interview with Lisa Jimenez. Would you mind telling me, with the research that I did when I was looking up some stuff about you, you were talking about asking yourself if you were afraid of being a millionaire. I think this was like a moment for you when you were trying to figure out what sort of obstacles you had or what was holding you back.
Mhm.
Would you mind kind of
Yeah,
sharing or elaborating how you
yeah,
started with
sure.
all
I'd
of
love
the...
to.
Great.
Actually, it's just so cool because I didn't know I had that limitation. Most of the clients that I work with, they don't know that they have that limitation. This is a deep-seated, hidden fear that I believe all human beings have. And until it's acknowledged and dealt with, we will sabotage our efforts and our success. So for me, what happened is about 14 years ago, I was in Bermuda at a seminar, and at the end of that convention, I was sitting around a boardroom table with a couple of friends and my coach, and they were masterminding with me, just finding new ways to grow my business. And I'm telling you, Devin, every time my coach came up with an idea that I could act on, I would say, oh, that's a great idea, but you know what? I don't know. Just wait till I get the 3 kids in school. Yeah, as soon as they're in school, then watch me go. And then I would say things like, well, when I get my doctorate degree complete, yes, when I get my doctorate degree complete, then watch me go. Then, so it was all these just hidden fears coming up that particular day around that mastermind table that finally my coach looked at me, again, 14 years ago, and said to me, Lisa, you are afraid of success. You're afraid of success. And, I don't know what you would say to your coach who says that to you, but I looked
Uh-huh.
back at him and said, no, I'm not. Look at me. I'm creating success. I was walking across seminar stage in the network marketing company I was in. Like, it looked like I was okay with success, Devin, on the outside. It
Right.
looked like it. But when you start coaching with a coach, their expertise is to find that hidden piece, that missing piece, that hidden fear, that hidden limiting belief, and expose it. And as scripture says, the truth will set you free. And I got set free that night, that day, of really looking at where were my limitations around success, around wealth, around being a female, international speaker. I had even some limiting beliefs around that. I was raised in the era that girls are seen and not heard. So to get on a platform and speak in front of thousands of people, and most especially men, businessmen, there was some limitation even there that had to get looked at. But here's the cool thing. When you look at it and you really get it out in the open, then you can deal with it and manage it and literally recreate these beliefs. And we have the power to do that. This is who we are. We are creators, and we have access and the power to be self-expressed in recreating ourselves, recreating our beliefs, recreating hidden fears, recreating our behaviors, and then ultimately recreating our lives. But the
Excellent.
key here is awareness. Most people, every client that comes to me, they don't know the limitations they have. They're not aware of these hidden fears and limiting beliefs. So that's why getting a coach and just getting in a sphere of accountability, even if it's not a professional coach, just a partner, a mastermind group, so that people, even therapy, that can pinpoint, ooh, there's some sabotage. There, you're holding yourself back. What's that limiting belief about? Did you notice that fear?
Right. Now, when this coach is saying all of these wonderful ideas and suggestions for you, and you kept saying, yeah, but, that enabled him to realize that you were kind of blocking yourself. Then you said you were able to that night set yourself free, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you go
Because
about doing that?
I finally told the truth. I finally told the truth and said, okay, yeah, there is definitely some fear here. There's some limiting beliefs. There's some coding in my brain. The wiring in my brain was literally wired to create a certain level of success. And the wiring in my brain was not allowing me to break through that level of success. Again, this was 14 years ago. And so, and even today, Devin, I look at, I have a coach even today, and I look at what I'm creating, and I notice, where is the wiring in my brain limiting me? And what am I willing to do about it? So the first step is awareness. And that's what happened with me 14 years ago in Bermuda, that I got set free. And it was because I got aware, the awareness of where I'm limiting myself, where some limiting beliefs still exist, where there's fear around money and wealth. So in particular, what I did, and I want all of our listeners to do this as well, I took out a sheet of paper that night, 14 years ago in Bermuda, and I wrote at the top of the page the word millionaire. And then I wrote all the connotations that I have to that word. What comes up for me when I said millionaire? And I wrote down everything that word brought up for me. And they were things like, wow, millionaires are selfish. Millionaires are bad parents. And there were some good things. Millionaires can contribute, But mostly those things that I wrote down 14 years ago were limiting. And so no wonder I was sabotaging my efforts. No wonder I wasn't hitting the success that I wanted. I couldn't, because our subconscious job is to keep us safe. And so if your subconscious, which literally is the wiring of your brain, if your subconscious is set at a particular belief, like millionaires are selfish, well, then it's going to make sure that you do not become a millionaire because it wants to keep you safe. So when we look at this reality of how the brain works, and now I've just done extensive research in quantum physics and how the brain is wired and how to rewire it, and how the brain is literally, how we're wired is what we're creating. Our beliefs create our reality. And when we're aware of that, then we can just make it a game, Devin? It's just a game now. Like I even noticed myself sabotaging today. And I sing the song, whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. And I just laugh, I say, oh, there it is again. There's a limiting belief. Look at that, Lise. And then I love myself through it. And what I mean by love yourself through it is you just recreate it. You notice that. You don't judge yourself. You put no limitation or judgment around it. You just say, whoop, there it is. And you create a new reality for yourself by creating a new belief.
Gotcha. So once a person, or for you, once you had this awareness that there was some fear about wealth and that millionaires were selfish, and just kind of put in this light of not all that favorable, let's just say, how did you go about shattering those self-limiting beliefs? Like, what was the next step there for you?
Yeah, well, actually, the first step is very practical. This is what all of your listeners can do. Do the exercise where you notice the limiting beliefs around millionaire, around your next goal. If you write, international best-selling author, if you wrote that on a sheet of paper, and then you get present to what comes up for you. What are your beliefs around that? What are the connotations that you have around that title, that goal, that intention? And then when you see what comes up for you, where you look at all the limitations or any of the limitations, you literally rewrite them. So if you say, millionaires are selfish, you rewrite that, and you write it in your own handwriting that says, millionaires are great contributors. And then maybe you said, becoming a millionaire would make me a bad person. Millionaires are bad. No, you rewrite that and you say, and you literally re-speak this and retrain the brain. And the new belief, the new empowering belief is money doesn't change you. Money just makes you more of who you already are. That's why these calls and any kind of personal development programs are mandatory for a human being who wants to create wealth. Because we want to make sure that the people on this planet who strive and have a goal and drive to be wealthy and multimillionaires, that they have the personal development and the integrity to match that level of responsibility. I mean, this is why I do coaching. I want to affirm that we're creating human beings on this planet who are contributors, who give back. I mean, those are the people we want to be super wealthy, right?
Right.
The ones that have the heart of service, the heart of contribution. And that's who your listeners are. That's who my clients are in the network marketing industry. They have hearts of service. intentions of contribution. So when we literally recreate those beliefs and rewire the brain to be compatible to who we really are, people of integrity, people of service, then we actually tell our subconscious it's okay. It's okay to attract wealth. It's okay to be successful. And in adopting those empowering beliefs retrains the brain.
Now, when you were...
And then, Devin, it's a lifelong process. So that's a very simple, and it is simple, it's a very simple exercise to do in one sitting. You just notice the limitation and you rewrite it and you adopt. Now, what does it mean to adopt something? You take it on for your own. So those new beliefs, you adopt to those new empowering beliefs. Now those you take on to be your own. How do you take something on to be your own? You speak it. You declare it. You shout it from a mountain. You repeat it. It comes into your very being. So if it took, I'm 45 years old. If it took 45 years for me to create that negative belief, whatever it is, wow, it's going to take something for me to rewire the brain. It's going to take something for me to adopt a new empowering belief. So this is where, your mantras come in. This is where you take time, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day to speak your declarations. It takes something. And it's going to take you rewiring the brain by speaking these new empowering beliefs, these new declarations. Just watch what happens when you do.
Right. I love that word declaration. It's like so much more powerful. Like instead of saying a New Year's resolution, if a person says a New Year's declaration, it just seems to have a stronger texture to it.
And you know what? Every single person gets that, what you just said. And I'll tell you why. Because just look at the United States history. We get what declarations are. Our founding fathers over 200 years ago wrote the Declaration of Independence. It was a declaration. They would die for it, and some of them did. That's how powerful a declaration is. Consider when you're getting married. You stand before a judge, a priest, a rabbi, a pastor, and he says or she says, with the power invested in me, I declare you man and wife. See, we get the power of a declaration. So let's use that same power that our our first fathers used, that the clergy uses in a matrimonial ceremony, and use that towards recreating our life, recreating our beliefs. We declare that growing wealth is good. I declare that Lisa Jimenez being a millionaire is good for my family. It's good for my children. It's good for the planet. See, these are declarations that we speak that literally have the power to create it, because our word creates our world. Whatever you're saying, you're creating. Your word creates your world.
Excellent. Now, when you were rewriting this belief and declaring it, was that enough? Or were you still experiencing some fear and trepidation towards acquiring wealth and kicking it up a notch?
Yeah, okay, it's enough. It's enough. Those declarations are enough. But again, if it took you, 30 years to create that limiting belief, and 30 years of making everyone, making yourself right around that limiting belief, how long is it going to take to speak these declarations to retrain the brain? We don't know. It's different for each person, but it sure is going to take something. So speaking it, yes, is enough. How long does it take? I don't know. It's not like a gestation period. It's not just, a baby takes 9 months. A carrot takes 72 days. We don't know how long it takes to create an empowering belief. But I know it works. I know that speaking it and creating these declarations literally get created out in the world. And you know what, Devin? That's why I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful for me, my coaching program. I mean, the planet needs this. Yeah, we're creating everything. So could you imagine if every listener on this call really took this on, like got committed to what they speak? They got committed around promising themselves that they will only speak words of beauty, They will only speak words of creation. They will only speak words of inspiration. What would happen to our planet if even, 20 people in my community took that on? 30 people in your community took that on. We would transform this planet because our word creates our world. But if you're like me and you hang out at a coffee shop in the morning, then you hear the kind of words that are going on the planet right now. So let's you and me make a commitment today that we will be speakers of the word for creation, for inspiration, for beauty. We will change the planet, the energies of the planet, the reality of the planet by our words. But it's going to take something. And just to share with you, I have my own coaching program, then I have my own mastermind group. The 7 of us, we get together every day at 12 noon and create ourselves. What are we up to that day? And my own clients get on every day at 11 o'clock and create ourselves. And we have made a pact, a promise with each other that we will only speak words of creation, of beauty, of inspiration. And let me tell you, David, we call each other on it. Like, we call each other on it. And around every topic, if we're talking about, like my literary agent, I don't think he's working as strong as I would want him to work for my next book. So I started complaining last night on our coaching call. I'm like, when is this going to, when
is he on the call? Is he on the
No,
call?
no, he's not on the call.
Okay.
He's not on the call. When is he going to send out the next proposals? And maybe I should call him and put a fire under his butt. This is what I'm saying last night.
Right.
And my own colleagues are calling me on it. Lisa, you made a commitment. You made a promise. You only speak words of inspiration, creation, and beauty. I'm like, okay. So, then I got to speak words of, in partnership. How can I partner with my literary agent to inspire him to send out the next level of proposals? So what I'm just saying is, you guys, this takes something, but it's worth it because we have a hurting planet. And if you really believe the power of the spoken word, the power of your beliefs, and what you can create with your own empowering beliefs and your own words of inspiration, when you get present to the power that you have in your words and your behaviors and your beliefs, life gets exciting. Life gets exciting. You start seeing yourself manifest miracles, and life gets exciting. So get committed to transforming your beliefs. Get committed to speaking words of inspiration and beauty and creation. Get committed to a coaching program and get accountable to other people, because it makes a difference. It matters. Who you are and what you do, it matters.
Beautiful. I loved all that. There's one question I had here, which was, how can removing a subconscious belief about money cause a person to live through their highest good? Would you be able to speak and share your thoughts about removing a subconscious belief and then working through your highest good?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Okay, here's the thing. Universal law. One of the universal laws is value for value. Value for value. So when you give out value, like my coaching clients, the readers of my books, the people in my audience, I give them all I've got. And I know that that's valuable. It's value for value. So when I receive a check for, $10,000, $100,000, or even $20, thank you, because I get that it's value for value. So when you are creating your business, creating your price points, I want you to consider the universal law of value for value. You absolutely deserve that money because you're giving out so much value. And if you're not making a lot of money, you need to look at what's the value I'm giving. Because universal law, we live in a world of value for value. The more value you give, the more value you'll get back. In our society, it's called money. Sometimes it's by, in other arenas, a free trip, a smile, a thank you card, a hug, love. It's value for value. But in this context, let's talk about money. When you want to make a lot of money, that's great. Go for it. You give out a lot of value. You give out a lot of love. Because when you give out a lot of value, you will get paid for it. It's reciprocal. It's a universal law. Value for value.
Excellent. And Frank Kern actually says when he's trying to figure out the pricing points for his products and he's talking about value, he says if it's worth 50, that means you got to sell it for around 20. Just to be able to give that much more value just to make the transaction flow.
And then really tapping into, you called it your highest good.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, let's just pull back and look at the planet. So we all just pulled back and look at that planet. Look at Earth. If every human being was living in the realm of their highest good, what would it look like? So yeah, you could start this whole train, this whole locomotive, this whole rocket, this conversation of let's each live in our highest good, following our purpose, obeying the promptings, living in universal law, following universal law. If every human being took that on, just look at that planet. It would be a planet of harmony, of love, and it doesn't mean that there wouldn't be death on the planet. There is. That's reciprocal. That's a normal cycle of life. But it sure would mean that we would have harmony on this planet if each person took it on to live and get committed to living in their highest good, which means they're self-expressed. They're following their purpose. They're obeying that innate code that was put on their personality, that was put in their brain, in their heart, in their soul, before they were even, I believe, conceived. So let's say before they were even born. Just like the code of the hair color or your fingerprint, you were given specific personality and purpose and calling. It's a code written into your very life. Now, let's look at this planet and consider, what would it look like if every human being was following their own purpose, was self-expressed, was living their highest calling? Wow. Like, that's the world I want to live in. And you know what, Devin? That's the world I'm creating. That's the world you're creating with these kind of conversations. The thing is, we didn't know we could do this. I didn't know I could create my ideal life. Even 20 years ago, I didn't know. I didn't realize it. But now we're having conversations like this, where two people are saying, hey, did you know your word creates your world? Let me think about that. I mean, this is just so cool to have this kind of forum, to get people educated, to get people aware of the power that they have and the beauty that we could create on this planet when every human being is following their purpose. They're being self-expressed. They are their highest good. I mean, I'm excited right now thinking about it because it's getting created. And I think God's really happy about that.
Yeah. When you were talking about removing a limiting belief and then you said things get really exciting.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that? Like what happened afterwards?
Wow. I'm just so present to just really how beautiful that is, living like that. I'll tell you what happens. It's all around self-expression. It's like when I began to honor my purpose, honor my desires, honor living in my highest good, when I began to honor that realm, just, how do you say it? There was a happiness, there was a joy present, there was a peace present that I never knew before. But then the biggest piece of all this, Devin, was the contribution I could then make to others. And that's what lights me up. And that's what lights up every human being. Every human being has inside a desire to be a contribution, a desire to make a difference. And let me tell you, you will make the most profound difference for others and a contribution to the planet when you begin living your purpose, being self-expressed.
So for the people that are on this call that are listening, that are feeling this soul urge to express what it is that they feel would be of value to people, but they just can't get to that next step because they're afraid, what would you suggest they do? Just write down what is it that they're afraid of and have them become a little bit more aware of that fear? And then write down.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, so the exercise that I shared before, write it down, notice the connotations around it, notice even the original thought of that belief, that fear. Notice that that's normal. Every human being has fear. It's a part of living. In fact, every successful person has fear. The only difference is they've learned how to manage it. That's the only difference. They've had just as much fear as you. I've had just as much fear as a new beginning entrepreneur. I've just learned how to manage it. And so the steps to that is the awareness. Step number 1, awareness, like we talked about before. You write it down. Write down your connotations. Notice the limitations. Notice your limiting beliefs. Notice the fear. Call it out. Write it down. Step number 2, reprogram and recommit to your new beliefs. Rewrite each belief into an empowering one and then adopt it. And really, that's a separate step, isn't it? Like, that's a lifelong process of adopting it. And again, what does it mean to adopt? You take it in as your own. This is now your own belief. This is now it's coded in your DNA, right? And your brain literally got rewired. You know, there are billions of neurons in your brain, and they are wired a particular way. You know, T. Harv Eker talks about the example of the thermostat. When you have a home or an office and it's set at 70 degrees, even if you open up the door and all that cold air comes in, it will reset at 70 degrees. So we are all programmed for a particular level of success. That's how the brain works. It's a machine. So if you want to reprogram a computer, you want to reprogram a machine, what do you have to do? You have to put in new software.
Yeah.
So that's step number 2. You got to put in new software. And then rewire the brain means you keep speaking it as a declaration. And you keep educating yourself around truth.
When you had collapsed that limiting belief, did you notice like a shift in energy in yourself? What kind of visceral experience did you have afterwards?
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, totally. You know, this whole realm of just a bliss comes over you and came over me when I was as I rewire a limiting belief. And what it looks like is when you get present to this power that you have, that I have, and just this connection that you'll begin feeling with other people as you're co-creating your reality, and this unity that you'll have with your brothers and sisters as you're co-creating your reality. The word is bliss. It is just such an exciting space, an exciting realm to wake up every day feeling connected to the energy that's on this planet, the energy of human beings, that we are all one. And what that looks like every day is you just walk around happy. You know, you want to be a contribution. You're not looking for what you can get. You're really looking at how you can serve and how you can contribute, because you're so grateful to what you have. Like, you get it. You just get it. Does that make sense? Like, you just get in this realm of such gratitude because you know you can create whatever you want. You just want to just even explode into more, you know. You want to just continue to create, continue encouraging and inspiring others to get present to the power that they have. They're creating their ideal life.
Did you feel lighter afterwards? Did you feel like a lightness?
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
I love flying. My favorite thing is to be 40,000 feet above the earth. I just love it. And I don't even need an airplane to get that feeling anymore.
Sure. Well, I think gratitude really kind of encapsulates that feeling. Like when you're feeling in the state of gratitude, it's just a real lightness, and maybe you can equate that to that 40,000 feet above.
It is. It's just a love fest. You know, I mean, my clients are all international clients, so I have people all over the world that call in and work with me. I get to coach them, and you know what, Devin? It feels like they're just right here. It's just. There is such a unity on this planet when you tap into this kind of conversation, when you tap into the laws of the universe, the quantum physics conversations, when you tap into this whole new world, and it is relatively new, these new conversations, these new worlds, these empowering beliefs, there's such a realm of gratitude and unity that you just wake up every day saying, how can I serve?
Awesome. You said you were studying quite a bit, very deeply about quantum physics and particle theory, and perhaps you can share with me what some of your new insights are as far as thoughts' effect on reality.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you and I both believe that our thoughts create reality. So, what's the source of that is the beliefs that we have, and the beliefs that we have instigate everyday thoughts, the thoughts that we continue to have. And they say we have, tens of thousands of thoughts, and 80% of them are the same thoughts.
Sure.
And that's being generous, So if 80% of our thoughts are the same, it's like, listen to this, how ridiculous that is. So considering we are creators and we can create whatever we want, and yet 80% are the same limiting thoughts or negative thoughts, consider this. If you went to see a really bad movie, you went to the theater and you saw a movie, and even you would walk out of the movie. It was that bad, right? And then you'd go back and watch it again. And then the next day you'd go back and watch it again. And then the next day you'd go back and watch it again. People do that, Devin. That's what people are doing when they hold on to a limiting belief, or they keep thinking the same thought about that failure, or that marriage that failed, or that girl that left him, or that boss that fired you, or that asshole who did that. You get on this. Yeah. And so this is how ludicrous that is. You would never go see a bad movie twice. But we do it all the time by entertaining these limiting beliefs. And we're doing it to ourselves. So really right now, as your coach, everybody listening, stop it. Just knock it off. Stop watching the same movie twice and 3 times and 4 times. Let it go. Let the marriage go. Let that man go. Let that who did that to you go. Let that boss who fired you go. Let it go. Recreate it. Bless it. Grant it being, and move on.
Sounds so terrifying, though. Like if someone's thinking about this business of theirs that went south, or their relationship that just didn't work out, or their health is just not kind of coming together the way they wanted it to, and it's incredibly frustrating. And as much as you're saying, yeah, let it go, let it go, let it go, it's so much easier said than done, though. Mm-hmm. What would you suggest to somebody, though, to be able to kind of go to that next step?
Okay, like I'm considering that someone would say that as my client. And for my client, I would say, look at the payoff. Like there's got to be a payoff for you holding on to that limiting belief, for you holding on to that vision, for you holding on to that person who hurt you. What's the payoff? Because we are brilliant human beings. We are genius. We don't hang on to stuff unless there's a payoff. We just don't do it. We're creators. Really, the source of who we are, the nucleus to every human being is amazing. Brilliant, genius creators, always expanding, always growing, always doing good. So if that's the core of who we are, then there's got to be a payoff to hanging on to a limiting belief. So I would ask my client, what's the payoff? Let's have a conversation about what's the possible payoff.
Okay.
Hanging on to that belief.
All right. Actually, I have a friend of mine who's within the last 6 months or so has blown probably about $750,000, and he just cannot let it go, which makes perfect sense. So I'll speak with you as if I'm him, and he's just thinking, oh, this restaurant, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done this, and it's like endless barrage, this conversation that he brings up every single day with himself. So here I am with you, and I'm saying, look, I'm just thinking about this restaurant that I lost. My life's ruined. I put all my money, all my time into it. I don't want to build another bit. I don't want to do anything. I'm just petrified to do anything now. Everything I touch just turns to crap.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my question to that client would be, so
what's the payoff?
Yeah,
the payoff is that... Go ahead.
The payoff is always around being right. Okay, because the brain, how we're wired, we have to be right. Like if you believe that, all men are bad, then you will actually attract men that are bad to prove your point. This is how the brain works. So let's use that example with the restaurant owner who lost money in the restaurant. He had a deep-seated belief there was a belief, and he's proving it now, Devin. And he will die for that belief because that's how unless it's interrupted, he will die for that belief because that's how the brain works. The brain is a computer. It cannot be reprogrammed until the owner puts in new software, and it will die for its beliefs. It will. See, I have proof, people will say. I have proof that restaurant businesses go down. I have proof that I fail in the restaurant business. I have proof that all men are bad. And then what do? We attract people that are bad, that restaurants fail, because then we get, see, told you. We literally collect evidence for our beliefs. That's how ridiculous this is. That's how insane our brains are. They're computers. They have to be right. So I would ask this client, this gentleman, what's the deep-seated belief you have about yourself in business, about being an entrepreneur, about being successful in the restaurant business, about the restaurant business, and I would literally put down 20 pieces of paper in front of him and write these words at the top of the page. Restaurant business, what's your beliefs about that? Being an entrepreneur, what's your beliefs about that? Being a manager, what's your beliefs about that? Making money in the restaurant business, what are your beliefs about that? And we would find it. We would locate that limiting belief, because again, if it's wired in your brain, you will die for that belief. That's how the brain works. It's a computer.
So true.
And the payoff is to be right. He gets to say, see, I'm right now, and I'm not going to invest in anything else. See, I'm right. I told you I was a loser. I told you I couldn't make money in the restaurant business. See, I'm right. Now remember, this is the subconscious speaking. This isn't his awakening mind. This is the subconscious. It's possible someone said that to him when he was little. See, here's what happens. People say things to us, and we make decisions when we're 2 years old, 5 years old. By 7 years old, our personalities are set. That's what psychologists tell us. By 7 years old, we have decided. We have decided how life is. We have decided how people are, and we have decided our self-view by the age of 7. So, having said that, if we're 40 years old, 50 years old, there's a 7-year-old making our decisions.
Yeah, completely.
We made up our mind at a particular age that that's how life is. That's how people are. That's how education is. That's how the government is. We made up our mind at age 5, at age 7. So a 5-year-old is running our life. See, that's why the first step is awareness. This is a powerful conversation right here. Like if people would just get aware to their habitual patterns, their habitual ways of being. It's a habit, and it was decided by a 5-year-old. And the beauty in this conversation is you get to recreate that 5-year-old. You get to recreate your beliefs, your thoughts, your decisions that you made at age 5, at age 7.
And the 5-year-old too, while they are acquiring all the evidence about how they perceive the world, like they could see money exchange hands and then a big fight happen, and then they go somewhere else and they see money exchange hands and another big fight happens, and then they go home and then there's mom and dad and they're fighting about how much something costs, and then they go play with their friends and, oh, I got a new bike, and then he crashed it, and then the dad comes out, I spent all this money on that bike and then you ruined it, you're an idiot kid. Now that kid's going to have some beliefs about money that aren't exactly inspiring. So, I mean, would you say that from there that person's going to have a tough time getting wealthy?
100%, and that's called life. That's what we're up to, okay? And let's not judge it and say, oh, that's impossible. No, that's life. Every human being has that. Every human being walking the planet has that limiting belief that something happened at age 5, at age 7, and they made a decision. Now, the successful ones today, what's happening is they're learning how to manage it. They learn how to be aware of those made-up decisions at age 5. They're learning how to reprogram their brain. Mm-hmm. So that's life. What you just described, that's everyone's life. No one's unique to that. No one jumps out of that. That's life. So what there is to do is to be in conversations like this, where we're continuously taking a look at our behaviors. Where was that a habitual pattern? How is that from a limiting belief at age 5? Now, did I make that decision as a co-creator, a genius of 45 years old, or did my 5-year-old make that decision?
And how do you figure it out? Because not everything is revealed right away.
Yeah, good question. Well,
every situation is different, so I don't think you can
every situation is different, but I think this is an element of trust. You just trust that was creation making that decision. That was, genius making that decision.
I have to ask you, how easy is it or how hard is it to do this on your own? I know we're talking about coaching. We'll get into that right after this, but let's just first say, how easy is this to do on your own, or how difficult?
I don't know. I can only say I've never known anyone that did it on their own. I don't know. So is it possible? Anything's possible. I have not met someone who went in a cave and studied this and did this on their own. I don't know of anyone. I've only done this through hiring coaches, through being in mastermind groups, and then coaching people myself, because the teacher learns the most.
Excellent. Now, getting into the coaching, I would love to hear you elaborate about the Quantum Leap coaching program. And before you even get into it, I'd just look at the list of all the places that you have held these. And what do we have here? Budapest and Bangkok. I think there was a Tahiti on there. There's a Maui. These are quite exotic locales that you have for these Quantum Leap coaching program.
Quantum Leap coaching program, but those are called mastermind retreats.
Oh, right. Yes.
There's actually a reason for that. Like the intention that I create, it's very, very important to have it be a space of an exotic city, just over the moon treatment. It is royal treatment, and that is an important element, because what are we doing for 6 days? What am I doing with these coaching clients for 6 days? I'm reprogramming them. And so the environment and the ambiance and how they are treated is very important to the process. Very important to the process. That's why I choose cities like Florence. We're going to Florence in June. Like Bali, Indonesia. Like Paris. They get picked up in limos everywhere they go. They are completely taken care of. When they step off the airplane, they are handed the currency of that country. So they don't pull out a penny from their own money, their own country. They have to be in a space for 6 days that they are royalty. They are taken care of. Anything is possible. Their mind will be blown and expanded by the excursions that I have planned for them. And that is a very important element to the 6 days of the mastermind. Because what are we doing? We're reprogramming. We're reprogramming and retraining the brain.
Out of curiosity, do you ever have people kind of melt down, like being overwhelmed with it all, and they just can't quite accept it?
All the
time.
Every time. Oh, yeah. It's adorable. And
adorable. You're sick.
No, I know I am sick. No, I love it, because that's transformation. You got to be willing to get dirty. You got to be willing to have a breakdown. You got to be willing to mess up. If you really want to break through this stuff, you got to be willing to go down there. And if that, I've had someone, just get sick as soon as they got off the airplane, literally right there at the airport. That's okay. It's
not air sickness. It's not the air sickness, though. You're saying.
No.
It's just the overwhelmment of this decadence, over-the-top decadence.
Yes. Yeah, but then what's the message there, Devin? It was adorable. So this one, it happened to be a lady. This lady was so not prepared or used to being treated like royalty. She had her own internal breakdown.
Yeah.
Well, hey, honey, if you're going to have a breakdown, you have a breakdown with me, because I am so good at building people up and recreating who they are in a breakdown. This is my expertise. This is what I get paid for. So if you're going to have a breakdown, have it on the Rich Life Mastermind Retreat. And believe me, there are breakdowns. Oh, yeah.
Well, they would have to be. They would absolutely have to be, because what you're doing is you're just completely shaking up their world and pulling them out of their elements, and they have nowhere to go for 6 days.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome. I can't wait.
It's awesome. That's cool. I like your.
I love what you say to me. You're sick. It is. You have to be so out there in your thoughts and in what you create as possibility. Yeah. So I take that right on as a compliment.
Right. But you're totally right to pull them out, because monsters live in the dark, pretty much, let's just say. And so if you leave them, then they just get to kind of stay in the dark or close that monster up in the closet forever, instead of opening it up, going in the dark, and realizing, hey, it's okay. That it's all false, right? That there's no monster in there. It's just the unknown.
Yeah, because really what keeps a limiting belief alive and what keeps a limiting thought alive is secrecy, not bringing it out. That's what keeps it alive.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about your programs here. Which one do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about the Quantum Leap coaching program?
Yeah, perfect. So Quantum Leap coaching program is a weekly program every Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Clients call in from all over the world. Right now we have 5 countries represented in Team 16, and it begins in 2 weeks. And that coaching call, that weekly Quantum Leap coaching call, is full of conversations like this. We create homework assignments around inspiration, around recreating a belief, identifying a limiting thought, and then how to expose it and expand it. So those conversations every Tuesday is me giving a keynote speech, 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock Eastern Time. That's called Quantum Leap Coaching. It also includes private coaching that you'll fill out a questionnaire, and then we'll go over the questionnaire to customize your coaching program and really identify where in your business are you holding yourself back. Where in your business that by just tweaking one limiting belief, everything could expand. So that's called Quantum Leap Coaching. And the other coaching I do is the high-level coaching, and that's the Mastermind retreats. And yes, you go with me for 6 days, and other entrepreneurs from all over the world, 6 days, spending 6 days together, masterminding, having fun, expanding who we are, going on these amazing excursions to really, move yourself into possibility and creation. But it also includes these mastermind retreats, a 1-year coaching program. So every Thursday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, people get on the phone with me, my clients from the Mastermind retreats, and we are going over the homework assignment. We're going over what's the goals and intention you set for yourself that week. Where's the accountability around it? So it is a step-by-step accountability program, both the Quantum Leap coaching, which is weekly coaching, and then the Mastermind retreat, which is weekly coaching, and 6 days in a different amazing city. So those are the 2 levels of coaching that we offer.
Excellent. How important would you say accountability is?
It's everything. It's everything, yeah. Because, again, we got to remember what we're dealing with. What are we dealing with? We're dealing with the human brain. We're dealing with the mind. What is the mind? It's a computer. So if you don't have accountability to affirm and confirm that you are transforming this program called the brain, it will continue to do and be who it is, who it's programmed to be. So yes, it takes something. And accountability is the most important piece to transforming these limiting beliefs and thoughts, and really getting present to what you want and creating your best life for both your business and personally.
Yeah, and on your site here, you're talking about coaching and how you're mentioning some pretty high-profile people here that have coaches. Tiger Woods is among them, and I think Oprah Winfrey is on there, Michael Jordan, a lot of them. And what's the Money Makeover Kit about?
Yeah, that's fun. That's a 30-day program that you literally put in a CD, do the homework with the workbook that it comes with, and you go through this process at your own pace. I recommend that you do it for 30 days, which means every single day. There's 30 CDs. Every single day you're putting in a CD. It takes about 20 minutes to go through this process, and it is the conversation we're having today, but it's in the topic of money. How to expose all the limiting beliefs you have around money, and then how to recreate them. You are literally rewiring your brain to attract money, receive money, and be who you are, which is a creator around money, a money manifester. And it takes 30 days to break a habit and to retrain a particular topic in focused attention. See, most people don't do focused attention, and they wonder why it didn't happen in 30 days. You need focused intention and focused attention. This goes back to science. 7th grade science. Remember when the sun would come out and you'd take that magnifying glass and the teacher would tell you could actually burn a sheet of paper or pop an ant? How do we pop an ant or burn a sheet of paper? Because it's an intense magnified energy from the sun. That's what a magnifying glass does. Well, that's what my Quantum Leap coaching program does, and that's what this Money Makeover Kit does. It's a daily intentional focus. 20 minutes every single day for 30 days to transform your beliefs and what's possible for you around money.
Here's a great testimonial that I'm going to read to you, and I'm sure this will make you feel bad. Here it is. Breaking through limiting beliefs that I didn't even know I had was one of the biggest reasons my business excelled. Nothing has ever lit a fire inside me like this program. Lisa is a brilliant coach and gets right to the heart of shattering your money fears.
Mm-hmm. You
That's,
got it. That's my commitment. That's my commitment.
When you're speaking about focus and getting that laser focus with the magnifying lens,
Yeah.
how can a person just maintain that all the time?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, does it need to be maintained all the time? The better question for that is, how do you stay present? That's the ultimate goal to 0 point energy, as quantum physics calls it. It's present. It's being present. So we don't want to create ourselves to be a magnifying glass all the time, this intensity of focus. However, to get the same results, we can create ourselves to be present. And that takes something too, but just acknowledge that, am I present in this moment? Not thinking about what I just did, not thinking what has to get done. But the more we can create an awareness of presence, that I'm present, I am in this moment, that's how we create that 0 point energy, that focused intention, as we were calling it, like the magnifying glass.
Excellent. And by being in the present too, you're never holding on to anything either. You're always in the flow.
Mm-hmm. That's a lifelong, every moment decision. I mean, this is what I'm up to because I'm such a visionary. So I'm living most of my life in the future. So I'm constantly making myself aware. You know, hey, Lise, stay in the present. Are you present? Notice. Are you right here, right now? So this is just something that every human being has to have a discipline around, an awareness of being present. That's a powerful habit, a powerful state to be in and to create, to be present in every moment, to have generous listening because you're present, to really contribute because you're present. And it's so funny for me to even train on this right now because this is what I'm up to, creating. I haven't mastered this yet. I mean, being present in any moment, and I get the power in it. That's why I'm up to creating it for myself as a discipline, as a way of being. But wow, it takes something. It's a lifelong school, a lifelong in-the-moment decision.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're coming from a place where there was a lot of hardship. Like if someone just had an experience that they really hated, like they just lost a job or lost a spouse or just things aren't going good. It's tough to just kind of let that go and say, okay, well, what now? What now? What's next?
Mm-hmm. That's the only way to move through that, is just to stay in this moment, because in this moment, everything is fulfilled, literally. Like in this moment, everything is okay. Everything is perfection in this moment. So when I was going through the divorce and it was so painful for me, the only way I got through that, Devin, is just to stay in the moment, knowing at this moment I'm taken care of. So if there's any listeners, in pain right now, hurting, the solution to that is to be in the moment, stay right now, because in this moment there's perfection. And then create your way of being for the future. Like what are you creating for yourself in an hour, in a minute, tomorrow? That the way to do that with power and to transform pain is to stay in the moment, because in this moment there's perfection.
With these moments of staying in the now, can you speak about momentum with that as well?
Well, yeah, because momentum is created with this constant, let's call it 0 point energy, which is creation. That's what quantum physicists call the creation, the 0 point energy, where anything is possible. It's anything and everything. Anything is possible. And you create momentum by being present to that moment, to that power of creating, and then continue to create and continue to create, and that builds the momentum, just like you would be pumping water from a well. And we all know, who has pumped water from a well, that when you're pumping water, it takes some time for that level of water to come up and show results. So the first stage of creating, whether it's launching a business, launching a new relationship, launching a friendship, launching an investment portfolio, there's some effort, there's some work without any results. at the beginning, and we got to be okay with that. You and I have to be okay without seeing results when you're building a business, starting a network marketing company, in any avenue of creation. There will be this segment of time where you're building momentum, and just like pumping water from a well, you won't see the water rising, but it is. It's in the invisible. Believe it. Just like planting a seed in the ground. If that carrot didn't sprout in 40 days, you wouldn't pull it up and say, something's wrong with this seed. No, it takes 77 days. But we do that, don't we? We do that with our businesses. We do that with relationships. We do that with our goals. Oh, it's been 3 weeks. It hasn't happened. Let me forget that one. We do that. But then just consider how ludicrous that is, as we would not stand before, on top of a seedling, a carrot seed, and it hasn't sprouted in 3 weeks, so we're going to dig it up to find out what's the matter. But yet we do that with our goals. So this piece of the conversation is about having more patience with the law of gestation, which is another universal law. It takes time.
Patience, a virtue, yeah, definitely. And relaxing too, and just letting go and knowing that it's okay.
And it's happening. You just can't see it.
It's happening. You just can't see it. Right.
There's movement in the invisible. Things are happening. Like right now, even you and I having this conversation, there's an energy in the universe that people are intrigued about our conversation. And somehow, in the invisible, they'll find your link, or they'll go to your website, or they'll be in conversation with someone who just listened to this call. And so that's the same with our prospecting or our building of a business, creating a relationship. We have to cultivate the faith that it's happening. There's movement. It's all working out.
I think you said a key word there, which is faith, and the faith comes from the belief. And when you have the belief that what you're doing is working, then it's very easy to continue going. But when you're doing it blindly, then I think that's when it's easy to throw in the towel and say, I don't think this is going to work, or I've just lost patience with it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And really, it's always easy to throw in the towel. And you know what? If you've been one to throw in the towel, I remember when I was building my network marketing business with Mary Kay International, 3 times I threw away my kit. 3 times I threw in the towel. And somehow I would just go back to the trash can and pull it out.
Really,
and continue on. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So if you're on this call listening and you've thrown in the towel, so to speak, just go pick it up again. Just go back and pick it up again and continue. Because when momentum hits, you will be glad you continued. And when momentum hits, just like pumping water from a well, that water, how does it come out? It doesn't come out in drops. It gushes out. Success will gush out. Opportunity will gush out. Money will gush out. This is the equation for success. This is how physics works, just like pumping water from a well. So you got to be okay with the stage that you're not seeing results, and hang in there and continue the efforts. Keep pumping, because at one moment, just like that, you're going to see results, and they're going to come gushing out. And then you got some momentum. Then you're having some fun. Then you just have to put your hand on a lever and maintain your efforts, maintain your business. That's where I'm at right now. And let me tell you, it is a fun way to live.
I know, I've seen some amazing photos of your trips. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you. It's so much fun.
Lisa, before you go, I just wanted to hear you speak about befriending fear and the benefit in that, because you made a great point in another, when I was reading something you wrote, it was about how fear is a sign that you're doing something big.
Yeah,
and worthwhile.
Yeah, so what I want to share with everybody is, how do you befriend fear? You don't give it so much power. So first, let's talk about what our habitual way of being. Most human beings give all the attention to the fear, and they keep dwelling on the fear, talking about the fear, dwelling on what's not working, talking about that. Instead, let's not give it so much energy. Let's literally take it by the hand and keep skipping down the road.
But also, before I'm interrupting here, because there's a part of fear that makes you freeze and paralyzed. Like, you know that you're supposed to do that certain thing, but you're not doing it, and there's a fear there. Maybe it's of success or whatever, but isn't there like a paralysis that goes on? Like, it's not just, oh, I'm scared of that, so I'm not going to do it.
Yes. Yes, there is, and there can be a completely stop you in your tracks kind of paralysis. Absolutely.
Sure.
But the point is, if you don't give so much energy and fuel the fear, what happens is you begin to transform it. And when you transform your relationship to fear and see that you can literally take it by the hand and continue. So you pick up the phone fearful. You go out on that first date fearful. You talk to that person in fear. And when you begin doing that, so literally you take fear by the hand and you continue. And you do your activities even in the space of fear. Because fear is a gift. It is your green light to go. It means you're on to something big. So what I tell my clients is the same thing I tell myself and my 3 teenagers. If you don't have fear in your life, just that sense of fear, then you're probably living too small. I mean, we were meant to create miracles. We're creators. We're infinite possibility. It's who we are. In the soul of who each person is infinite possibility and creator. Yet our human mind is fearful of that. So all you have to do is talk through your human mind to educate it of who you really are, and then allow it to take fear by the hand and pick up the phone instead. Go out on the date instead, with fear as your friend. With fear as your friend. So that's befriending the fear. And here's the word. You change your relationship to fear. You transform the relationship to fear. You don't ask it to go away. You don't give it so much energy. You befriend it. You change the relationship to fear so that when you sense fear, you see it as your green light to go. Wow, it means I'm onto something big. It means I'm really living. And so the next time any of you listeners feel fear, you send me an email or you send Devin an email, and we'll celebrate with you. Yes, it means you're really living. It means you're really living. You know, you were meant to do big things. You were created for miracles. Your mind doesn't know that, though. So, of course, it's going to be fearful. So how you can transform it and befriend is by befriending the fear and just doing it anyway. Picking up the phone in that state of fear and just watch how when you don't give it so much energy, it dissipates.
I find also if you just change the word from fear to excitement, it makes the whole thing different. Like, gee, I'm so scared.
I love that you said that because I had a client a few years back who was an actor, and she told me that every time she took the stage, she's a live actor, every time she took the stage, she would feel that excitement, and instead of labeling it fear, she knew it's just excitement. It's the red carpet excitement. It's the curtain drawing excitement. So that's it. See, now that's how you transform fear. That's it, Devin. You speak it to your mind that, okay, this isn't fear, this is excitement. So let me pick up the phone in excitement. Let me go out on that date in excitement. This is how you transform fear. You re-educate the mind, retrain the brain. Change the beliefs and you change your behaviors. Change your behaviors and you change your life.
Awesome. Lisa, thank you so much. And before you go, is there anything else you'd like to share or to mention? Or?
Absolutely, yes.
Cool.
And what I want to share with your listeners and with you, Devin, and myself included, is to take on a knowing that you were born to be blessed, to be a blessing to others. See yourself as divinely guided. Realize you have royal blood flowing through your veins. Know and understand that you are infinite possibility. That's who you really are. And know that you were born to be blessed, to be a blessing to others.
Lisa, thank you so very much. I really appreciate the call, and I learned a lot, and you're wonderful to speak to.
Oh, thank you, Devin. Thank you for thinking of me and my message, Conquer Fear.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.